Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's hashtag Spill the Beans. It's actually last week's, but whatever. If you've never been to a Spill the Beans chat, this is a once-a-week chat where we talk about everything under the sun, from activism to music and back again. Activism heavy lately because why not? And because the world. That's why. If you've never seen me before, I'm Tara Priolo. I'm your resident white-facing biracial multi-passionate musician. I talk about the ish that nobody wants to talk about and push you to do the same. Today is going to be no different. We're going to do the cycle of suffering part 2. Obviously, there's a but first, so grab your drink and come on back. Okay, so the cyclical nature of suffering. Last time I was talking about it in terms of music, and then I brought it to like how oftentimes we see a group of oppressed people or a group of massacred people or a group of people that have experienced genocide, etc., become the power holders and the oppressors, and how that cycle continues. And you guys answered that it happens in every industry and it is across the board. And some of you gave me some very personal examples that I'm not going to like reshare here. I have a few thoughts, and I think, this is pervasive in every industry because, and you guessed it, we're going right back to it, because we treat the symptoms a lot and we never treat the problem. And the problem is always white supremacist Delulu. That's all. That's what it is, always. It's easier to keep people down using the people that are above them, right? Or using people as tools. Right? And if you're so busy suffering, you're not going to rise up, right? So that's the first part. The second part, and you can let me know what you think about that, but the second part that I wanted to bring up today is that, and we've had the discussion of pain point marketing on this page. We've had the discussion of joy is the revolution, blah, da, 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 da. And I was wondering the other day why we choose so often, collectively and individually, to educate from our fear, right? Or from our fearful experiences. Like, why is it that people will be like, oh, pregnancy is so hard, without assuming that there can be another experience out there? And I think a lot of this is because we're made to feel comfortable in our fear and our discomfort and our suffering, and actually joy feels a little less comfortable. And I think I think we've been taught that this is the best, like shame and pain and fear are the only ways that people learn, and perhaps failure as well, right? And I just don't believe that's true. I just really don't point blank don't believe that's true, because when I educate through my joyful experiences, right? And this is not to say that we can't identify on levels of suffering, but when I teach through my joyful experiences instead of my fear, the results are tenfold in my students, right? And in my clients. And hang on one more time, because we'll talk about one more thing that I saw around this. Okay, so my last commentary, 4 hours later, after doing a masterclass, etc., my final commentary is about, I'm sorry, there's my plant. I'm going to have to show y'all a picture of my jade plant over there. My final commentary is about this notion that like young people aren't going to music schools or aren't going into these professions because of the way that they're treated. And I haven't seen much evidence of that. I mean, music schools are still overcharging and are still nice and full. I haven't really seen that, but y'all say it's true. But what I want to say on that is like the same thing that I say about voting and counting on like Black people's vote or young people's vote to quote unquote save us. Like, we have to take some responsibility too, as the older people, as the people that are actually teaching, and change our ways and help change the ways of the people that are around us teaching. Sure, young people might not be tolerating it. Gen Z may be throwing their keys into the San Francisco Bay. But the reality is that we need to stop waiting for them to take the lead and actually just like do the thing and hold each other accountable and change our ways of teaching if we think that teaching through suffering is wrong. The onus should not be on the people who are being victimized or are being oppressed. The onus should be on the people who have the power to change it. Right? Right. All right. That's all for Spill the Beans tonight. Continue to be anti-racist. Be safe. Make good trouble. Make some calls, y'all. I literally just, saw that the Senate passed an aid bill, which is fine, but they roped the TikTok ban into it. So hashtag free speech. Anyway, make good trouble. Do good work. I love y'all hardcore, and I'll see you next